Welcome. If it's Friday, it's Operation American Dream, and we're back with another great show today. Eve Nasby is with me.
Yeah. You've got some great people coming on board to talk about investing in homes and real estate and all that fun stuff.
Well, Chris, first of all, we got Chris Merrill coming on with Bootcamp Challenge, Marine Corps drill instructor, and Diana Burnell. So there's a Bootcamp Challenge coming up at MCRD.
With a guy in the intimidating hat, drill instructor. Yeah.
It's called the cover.
Okay, cover.
It's called the cover. We've been through this.
The intimidating cover.
Yeah, Ryan Street coming on to talk some Escondido opportunity, and then you're going to tell us why never to fill out applications online if you want to get a job.
Filling out applications online if you're looking for a job.
If you want to get a job, don't apply. Stick around to find out more. Operation American Dream is coming up next. All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. Not much landscape-wise scares the heck out of Marines more than the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, and there are not many places on Earth more special to a lot of Marines than the Marine Corps Recruit Depot. And there's an opportunity coming up soon for civilians even to come on and get your butts kicked just like recruits do. So on the show, we've got Diana Burnell, who's a rep with the Bootcamp Challenge, and striking fear in my heart right now is Staff Sergeant Chris Merrill, who's a drill instructor, who's going to be out there screaming and yelling at people.
Yes, sir.
And you got a lot of practice doing it.
Yes, sir. We do.
So before we get into Bootcamp Challenge, man, first of all, I want to thank you for what you do. We were talking in the green room before. Not many people know the amount of time and dedication that goes into your job. All those recruits running all day and going through all this are really all their character. They're broken down completely and built completely back up by you guys. 25-year-old staff sergeant, you know, waking up at what, 0300?
Yes, sir. You can look to wake up about that time.
Staying up until 1 in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Running all the same runs, making all the same hikes, taking basically a 3-month platoon over 3 months and really turning them into Marines that go out and fight for us, and then turning around in 2 weeks and doing it all over again 7 days a week.
Yes, sir.
So first of all, from the show, from me, from everybody, thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the Bootcamp Challenge. I went to Bootcamp in 1999 at the depot. Like I said, it's a very special place to me. You know, it's hard for me not to be able to walk on the parade deck now as a civilian. But there's an opportunity for people to come on base and run basically an obstacle for the benefit of the families on base. And so Diana, walk us through the Bootcamp Challenge.
Well, Bootcamp Challenge is, this will be our 15th year. It's part of San Diego Fleet Week. It's the one time of the year that we open up the depot to the San Diego community. It's Saturday, October 1st. The venue opens up at 6:30 a.m. And day of registration will take place at that time. For those that missed online registration, the prices are $45
So it's been going on for 15 years.
This is our 15th year.
That's crazy. I never even would have known, you know. So how many people do you get going through to actually do the run, or how many are you expecting?
We anticipate about 2,000 participants this year, and then that's not including spectators or families and friends that come along.
You can just watch people get their butt kicked too.
Correct. We do have buses that bring you from the venue onto the obstacle course, so you can watch your loved ones run by.
So this is a base-wide event. I mean, MCCS kind of facilitates, but it's a base-wide event.
Yes.
And the benefits go to the families and the programs on base.
Correct. To enhance the quality of life programs to our Marines and their families. That includes our recreation center, our fitness equipment, our programs and workshops for our families.
So Staff Sergeant Merrill, so have you gotten a look at the? I mean, you got a good look at the obstacle course. What are they going to be going through? What's the course look like?
So you got a 5-kilometer run with obstacle courses throughout. In the obstacle course, they can be prepared to jump over some low and high logs, crawl through some tunnels, And the most challenging is going to be the 6-foot wall, which normally puts some pressure on some people to get over because they got to use a lot of upper body strength to pull themselves over that.
I wonder if there's gonna. So how many drill instructors are gonna be out?
About 60 United States Marine Corps drill instructors, motivating them through the course.
I love the term motivating people through the course. Have you? Is this the first year you're doing it, or have you done it before?
Now, this is my first year being involved with the Bootcamp Challenge, but I've been on the depot for about 2 years now.
Got it. And so you've got 1 year left, but you're kind of out of the recruit training element of it. You're going to be a drill master now.
Yes, sir. So I've completed my time working with recruits directly, making that transition from recruit to Marine. So now I'll be doing a little different job.
How has the process been? I mean, has it been a fulfilling job? Has it been interesting? I know it's been tough.
Absolutely. It's been one of the most fulfilling jobs I've been able to do during my time in the Marine Corps.
I think there's not in terms of a Marine Corps career, there's not many people more important to a Marine than his drill instructor a lot of times, right?
Absolutely. We'll get old retired Marines, 70, 80 years old, and that can still tell you their senior drill instructor and their drill instructors that
I still have bad dreams, man.
I'm sure you can tell me your senior drill instructor and drill instructor too.
Oh, yes, that's Sergeant Alcorn. And how happy is your wife now that you're off the drill field and into
She's excited that I'm coming home every night.
Well, that's good. So the opportunity, I mean, it doesn't come around much for anybody. I mean, you could go to recruit graduations and that kind of thing, but it's a unique situation. I mean, even from a security standpoint, right? The logistics that go into letting people on the depot has to be a pretty big undertaking.
Correct. It is the one time of the year that they can experience the obstacle course. So with the security measures, we do recommend arriving early just to make sure you guys make it through on time and start the race at 9.
Very cool. And so walk us through again. So if you haven't pre-registered, which obviously the race by the time this shows is going to be the following day. What's the cost and how do people get involved? How do people
Day of registration will open up at 6:30 a.m. The cost is $45 a person. You can register as an individual, a 3-person team, or a 5-person team, and it's cash or check only for that day of.
Well, thank you, Diana, for very much for what you guys do at MCCS and with this program to support the families and support the morale, welfare, and recreation, MWR, of the Marines and their families on the base. And again, Staff Sergeant Merrill, man, can't thank you enough, man. Thanks for coming in. Good luck on doing the master drill master.
Yes, sir.
Don't make me push or anything, man. Drill master. Thanks for the last 2 years of service to the recruits, and good luck going forward, man. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be right back in a couple minutes. We got Eve coming up with more Operation American Dream. All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm sitting here with my good buddy, Ryan Street, former gunnery sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Now he's serving veterans in another way, which is near and dear to the show, in the home ownership pillar. We kind of focus on employment, on entrepreneurship. We focus on home ownership, and we focus on financial literacy. And a lot of the problems that military and veterans have around issues like depression and divorce and all that stuff is also because of financial issues. So we like to focus on those kind of things, and certainly appreciate you sitting and hanging with us and talking about the home ownership piece, because that's kind of the crown jewel in a financial piece, wouldn't you think?
Totally agree, and thanks for having me again on, Daniel. It was awesome.
Of course, man. So your market is really like 15 corridor, kind of North Escondido. I mean, there's offshoots from that where you kind of serve people in that area, but that's a great area for military families.
Awesome area. There's tons of growth potential. There's a lot of value there to in terms of purchasing a home. The upside is significant for the pending development and proposed development items that are coming. In my opinion, I think the 15 corridor from, say, the 78-15 intersection up into Rainbow will slowly become Rancho Bernardo and Poway over the next decade.
Yeah, it's kind of spreading out from the epicenter, kind of like
Right.
Oceanside is from Del Mar.
Yeah, there's really nowhere to go in the county besides Northeast. Development in East County is pretty much complete or filling up, and then you got to move north.
Interesting.
People want to live in San Diego, and
You got
that's the place to go.
more and more demand
Absolutely.
for the limited supply. You're going to see that growth. You're going to see that kind of inherent increase in value.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just in the last 2 weeks, we've seen a dip in inventory of about just over 8%.
Wow.
And it's countywide.
How much of your clientele is military, or how mumuch do you focus on military being a former gunnery sergeant?
Or
being a retired gunnery sergeant.
Retired, yeah. It kind of fluctuates. Last year, I would say, was 60%. This year, probably 40. Majority of the guys and gals that I've served with have either PCS'd to the other side of the country, or Okinawa, or they've deployed. And they're coming back now. So I'm probably looking at some kind of spike in activity in the coming months.
What are the things that you're hearing out there? So when you're doing open houses, talking to clients, talking to consumers, like what are the things that you're kind of seeing?
Yeah, so I've probably got a third of my potential clients that are on the fence, waiting for the bubble. And in my opinion, I don't think there is a bubble coming. There's not a data point that I can point to and say, or a combination of data points that I can point to and say, okay, we have some kind of dip coming. Inventory's down, money's cheap, builders aren't developing like they used to. They're building phases and selling them before they start a new one.
Are they thinking there's going to be another 2007?
Exactly, yeah. Somebody's on our sideline waiting for 2007.
I've got a data point for that. I mean, in essence, from the lending side, between pre-2000 and 2007, all the loans that were being done were not even vetted. It was if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan kind of thing. So there was fundamentally a problem. There was fundamentally a house built on the sand, right? So it was basically gardeners were making $250,000 a year with no documentation, and all of a sudden they got a home. So it's a fundamental issue. Since 2007 to now, it's been almost swung the other way, right? So it's in a situation. We're in a situation where documentation has been intense. So everybody that are homeowners now, maybe they went through a financial issue between the time of now and previous, but certainly not on the scale that we did in 2007.
Totally agree.
Right. Also, man, so you've got a great opportunity up there, a great listing in Escondido. You got 1237 Rachel Circle up in Escondido.
I do. It's in the country club area. It's in a great lot with great panoramic views. Could benefit from some sweat equity. We're priced very aggressively, we think.
Dolling that up a little bit.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Could definitely benefit from some sweat equity. $10,000, $15,000 would carry it a long way towards the mid to high 470s to 480.
So in lending terms, for every 100,000, it's about $600. So payment-wise, you're probably looking, what, 24?
Right on. Yep. No HOA. There's not an HOA, but
$2,400. What do you think rent goes for out there?
$25,000, $2,650 pretty easily.
And how hard is it in San Diego to come into a property where you'd be able, if you did deploy or you did PCS move, you'd have a positive cash flow?
Right. Yeah. No brainer. It'd be gone in.
Listing price is $439. You mentioned that it needed some loving, some little sweat equity. Certainly, military guys aren't. At least my friends are not scared of a little hard work.
Absolutely.
What do you think? I mean, if it was kind of fixed up to its potential, what do you think the value is there potentially in sweat equity?
I think there's comps in the area pushing. They're larger square footage wise. I've seen 504, 510. Not that you'd hit that level with this home, but I think 475, upwards of 490 is probably a possibility.
So $15,000 worth input worth of cash and some sweat equity,
Sure.
doing some work on the property, I mean, you've got tens of thousands of dollars that you could potentially roll into that.
Right.
The bond market's still really strong. Rates are still really, really low.
Incredible.
So you're still paying very, very little for the money to borrow.
Absolutely, yeah.
VA home loan, 0 down. So in essence, let's back this up. A guy stationed at Pendleton, right, could come in for, I mean, gosh, what do you figure BAH? $2,500 with BAS included?
Staff NCO, married or with dependents,
With dependents,
2588 I think is a number.
2588. So under your BAH, pick up a property for around $2,400 a
Right.
month. Rent would be $2,500. Put $15,000 and some sweat equity into it. Work on your garage, work on your bathrooms, work on your property, paint your house, walk your kids to school, and come out with a. And if you had to deploy, if you had to move, you got a ton going for you there.
Yeah, we're seeing, in the rental market, I've got a number of clients that are buying investment properties now, specifically condos, and we're looking at 3, maybe 5 days on the rental market. Boom, it's gone.
Well, hey, if you want to take a look at 1237 Rachel Circle, connect up with Ryan. And just fantastic opportunities all over the place. If you have any questions about Escondido real estate, Ryan, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I mentioned another one of the pillars that we have on the show is related to employment, and Eve is a specialist in employment. So she's got a listener question for you. We're going to throw to Eve, and she'll be able to give us some good information.
Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby with some very special guests with us this morning. We want to welcome to our studio Lauren Alexander and David Villarreal. Welcome.
It's our pleasure to be here.
Last week, our good friend Daniel Lehman and the co-host for this show interviewed John Alexander, who happens to be your dad.
Correct.
With Affinity Partnership. And it was through that, I think it's called VA Lone Ranger program, that you kind of uncovered this need for what we're going to talk about today, which is canine companions for veterans. So talk a little bit about that.
So with our program, VA Lone Ranger, we wanted something that we could do to benefit those that we worked with. And around that time that we were brainstorming what to do, I had a friend who had served 2 tours, and unfortunately, he ended up committing suicide. And in that event, it was found that there was a huge chance that if he had had a service animal, that his suicide would have been, if not prevented, the chance reduced.
Wow.
And started doing research into it and realized how many veterans there are out there that don't have access to the service dog that they need or service animal. And so we decided to form Canine Companions for Veterans.
Wow. And I think, the Canine, your organization serves those with PTSD and traumatic brain injury. And I think it's a little bit more prevalent than we believe it is. And so with the PTSD, you shared your story. I don't know if you would mind sharing with our viewers your own journey through PTSD, and you never served.
Definitely. PTSD is definitely one of those things that people see as being only with military members, which isn't true. It can occur in other people who have had traumatic events in their life. I was diagnosed with PTSD myself, and it's a battle that I can relate to. There are certain things that are harder than others. There's nightmares, there's weird things that cause anxiety. And so it was really something that I was passionate about because you can't see PTSD.
Right.
And a lot of people, because you can't see it, act like it's not there.
Right.
But it's a real thing that impacts people's lives, and a dog can change that immensely. I have my own little puppy, and it's not little, but he's been a huge impact on comfort, and he's actually being trained to be a service dog himself.
Well, you're beautiful, you're vivacious, and no one would know that you had PTSD and TBI. I think you were just sharing you had brain surgery, and you've got a 5-year recovery period.
Yes.
So, for us as civilians walking on the street and making these assumptions that only veterans could ever get PTSD or TBI is a fallacy. So thank you for bringing that to our attention and sharing your story with us, because I know it's been a challenging journey for you. But out of that is birthed this amazing nonprofit you started.
Correct.
So when we have viewers out there that are thinking, gosh, I'd really like to have a dog, what is that process that they need to go through to connect up with you, to perhaps be paired with a dog?
So we have a website. It's cc4v.org. And on that is our contact information. What makes us unique is that we work with veteran organizations to specifically tailor a dog to a veteran. So in that process, we do work with them because what you see as your need is sometimes different than what a professional knows that you need. So we work with them to find out exactly what abilities that dog needs to be trained with, whether it be treatment for anxiety or possible mobility assistance. There's a whole array of things that a dog can be trained for. And so we work with the VA organization to help tailor that dog specifically to you.
So let's talk about your specific situation. You've got a dog that's being trained for what?
My dog helps with nightmares. So if I ever start stirring in my sleep, it's very apparent when I'm going to start having a nightmare. And my puppy will jump up on the bed and he'll put enough pressure on my shoulder to actually wake me up. And so it stops. And it's been amazing just with the little preparation that my dog has, because he's only 9 months old, but he's been able to make a world of difference for me.
That's tremendous. And David, you are standing in support of her. Tell us about your role with the organization.
Well, I think that one of the compliments to the organization is that we're able to use our platform at Affinity Partnerships to give genesis to canine companions for veterans. The necessity for something of this size and this caliber is very evident when you look at the statistics. Today, you could look at various numbers, but what we do have a recurring sense of is that 22 veterans daily commit suicide as it relates to PTSD. For us, the goal was to establish a type of platform that would complement that community and try to get that 22 number down to 0.
Amen. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the excitement, the enthusiasm that we have is that we know it impacts daily lives. It impacts those people who have given us great service. And the attitude that most people have when we talk about this foundation is that, how can I come and support it?
Yes.
And so, to your question, I'm one of the board members. I am a member of Affinity as well. But the enthusiasm for me is to be able to return to those veterans for their service some benefit that we can provide.
Did you ever serve?
No, I didn't.
And neither did I. And I think this is an excellent example of how you and I, as just regular civilians, can give back to our veterans who have served our country so faithfully. So on a logistical standpoint, is there opportunities for volunteering? How do we make donations to your organization? What's the opportunities there?
Well, I think you can look at the website address that'll appear here on the screen.
Yes.
cc4v.org is going to be an accessory that you can utilize for information, you can utilize for contributions, you can utilize for a number of avenues that can be of benefit to us.
Excellent. Well, David Villarreal and Lauren Alexander, Canine Companions for Veterans, thank you for being a part of our show. Thank you for what you're doing to better the lives of our veterans and let us get that statistic down to 0. Thank you for being a part of our show.
It's our pleasure, and thank you to all the veterans for your service.
You're watching Operation American Dream. We will be right back. So we get a lot of questions every day from people just like you who are transitioning from the military into the civilian workforce. And it's not an easy transition. It can be frustrating. It can be depressing. And there's a lot of questions out there that we have answers for. So our first question for today is, I've recently transitioned out of the Navy as an electronics technician. I've submitted over 100 resumes to different companies online, and I've gotten no response. My finances are getting thin. My family is getting stressed. What am I doing wrong? And this probably sounds familiar to you who are looking for a job right now, or you know somebody who's looking for a job. So let's just start with the basics. The first thing I would suggest is to stop putting 100 resumes in empty databases. And what do I mean by that? You are told that's what you're supposed to do. But in reality, that can be a process that just leads to futility, honestly. So why do I say that? Well, you've got big corporations that have a lot of recruiters. Each one of those recruiters has about 30 to 40 positions that they need to fill on a daily basis. So what does that mean to them? That means they're going to get 300 resumes per position. So what they're trying to do is to filter you out. And if you don't have the experience that they're looking for right at the top of your resume called keywords, then the chances of you getting an interview with that company is slim to none. So how do you overcome that? Well, you've heard the expression, people buy from people they like. Well, they're going to interview you if they like you. And in order for them to like you, they're going to have to meet you. So here's what I would suggest. Get a LinkedIn profile if you don't have one already. Make sure that LinkedIn profile exactly mirrors your resume because you want all the information to match. The recruiters will look at that. The second thing I want you to do is to go into your LinkedIn profile and start networking. Link in with everybody that you know, people that you've served with, people, your family members, your friends, everyone, because you don't know who they know within an organization. For example, if you wanted to work at ABC Company, you can look at my LinkedIn profile and see that, hey, I'm connected to the Vice President of Human Resources for ABC Company. You send me a message, I say, awesome, let me send your information to that Vice President. That Vice President will then send you to the appropriate hiring manager. That is a big difference from submitting your resume online to that empty database and these recruiters are trying to filter you out. It's a big difference from me then introducing you to the right person. And the last thing I would say, and this is probably the most difficult for most people, is outside networking. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. You've got to get to organizations who could help you find a job. So what does that look like? If you're human resources, San Diego HR Forum is an organization just for HR professionals. You have the Society for Human Resources Management, just for HR professionals. If you want finance, accounting, look for those organizations. Why? Because those are the people that are going to know what positions are open in the field that you're interested in right here in San Diego. So great question, thanks for asking. And if you guys have additional questions, please go to OperationAmericanDream.tv and submit your questions there. We're happy to answer them.
Eve.
Wow.
That was, wow to you. That was incredible information that you gave about LinkedIn profiles and about getting jobs. It's just stuff that you would never.
It's all about the network.
How often do you get that question?
Pretty much every single week. Every single week. And sometimes people have 300 resumes that they put out there. Sometimes it is the 100, and the average is pretty much 100. And it's so frustrating.
So a personal connection is key to getting a job.
See, I don't know anybody out there, maybe you, but I don't know anybody out there who's ever gotten a job by putting their application online.
Well, in my business, we certainly look for referrals before we look for anything.
Yep.
So, hey, great show. Bootcamp Challenge, if you want more information on that.
Are you going to do it?
I think my quota is full for Bootcamp Challenges. Canine Companions for Veterans. And Ryan Street and his listing in Escondido, and then any other questions for any of that stuff, www.operationamericandream.tv. Reach out to us, ask questions, get involved.
Great. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you next week, guys.